Hello, today I'm in Fairy Cave Quarry in Somerset and we're going to do Shatter Cave, one of the caves discovered when this area was being quarried, and this particular cave was discovered in 1972. So welcome to Shatter Cave. Whilst Peter faffs about with the lock trying to get in, that's with this concrete tube here, and that's how we have to access the cave, and it's a bit awkward. So here we are at the entrance of Shatter Cave. Peter's signing us into the logbook and soon we'll be cracking on. So here we are in something called Canopy Chamber, and this is near the beginning of the Shatter Cave. So here's some of the features in here. So there's the canopy within Canopy Chamber. And there's a really neat archway up here with the natural bedding of the limestone. And you can see some of the quartz that has formed perpendicular to the bedding planes of the limestone in this archway.
Some of it's calcite as well.
Yeah. Causing some new stalactite and stalagmite formations.
There's quite a bit of calcite. Better bit.
Yeah.
Up here.
Oh yes, you can see that there, yep.
Yeah.
And this is Canopy Chamber in Shatter Cave. Okay, so we've come into this chamber and I've noticed this interesting formation up here, which we reckon is a bit of a phreatic tube.
Half tube there coming down.
Yep.
Seems to have followed the line of the dip and then possibly crossed the bed.
And then Peter can explain what's a phreatic tube.
Yeah, well, these are formed underwater like drain pipes. They can pin it. The flow has been completely sub-water table. So it formed at a much different era than the rest of the...
And then what it does, it erodes the softer limestone, the water erodes it, and then creates these scallopy formations. And some of them can be quite large, and others are smaller like this one. Yep, carrying on in Shatter Cave. So now we're in... What's it called again, Peter?
This is Diesel Grotto.
Some very nice formations in here. You can see forming as we speak. I'm trying to video and walk at the same time, which is always awkward. Going down over these muddy boulders. Oh yeah, look at these. Stalagmite, stalactite. And there's Peter preparing to crack on. Right.
Well, that stalagmite that's toppled over and is fractured is entirely natural.
Oh.
Nobody's knocked it over, nobody's touched it. It was like that when we came into the cave. And originally it was thought to be earthquake damage. But even then you think it's a bit odd that it hasn't, toppled or, it's fractured and just stayed there. Mm-hmm. And it was explained to us when the film was being made that what had happened is the cave, although the Mendips were never under glaciers, they were certainly frozen. And the cave was all filled with ice. And the ice flowed slightly anyway. And as it moved, it cracked the stalagmite. And then obviously the movement of the ice was so slow, the stalagmites was able to stay where it was. And then when the ice gradually melted, the broken stalagmite stayed exactly where it was.
It looks like bamboo.
Yeah, and you can see another fractured piece there that's been re-cemented onto the edge. Yeah. If you look around, there are other locations where you can see where things have been hanging from the ceiling and have been completely snapped off as the ice has moved and carried them away. But this one really puzzled people for years. But that's the mystery. It was formed by... It was formed as a result of ice flowing through the cave.
This is a classic calcite curtain, which was damaged, about 50 years ago at least, and re-glued. The fragment that came off was glued back with araldite. And in fact, the process was filmed for a cave conservation film narrated by the great David Attenborough.
Oh, cool. And then now look at the...
I don't know where the film is now, but anyway, it was David Attenborough was heard talking about the repairer working on it. And then up on the right we have a really rather nice white calcite cascade there, pure white.
Yeah, it doesn't have all the red mud on it like lots of the
No.
early parts of the cave do.
No, it's clean.
Brilliant. And then we've got some stalagmites down the bottom there too. Nice and white.
Yeah, this is called erratic rift.
With a couple of erratic cavers in it. Right, carrying on through erratic rift. I find this bit of stalagmite down in a little smaller rift that looks like the CN Tower. So now you can call it CN Tower Rift. Only people from Toronto will know what...
Canadian.
Yeah, you have to know what that is.
Who finds something first in this cave?
Yep.
Or any cave.
All right, CN Tower Rift.
Not the Berkeley for them.
So here we are in Tor Chamber, named after Glastonbury Tor because of that big cascaded formation. And then we've got really interesting example of, what did you call that, bacon curtaining?
Oh, the Americans call bacon flitch.
Yeah, because it looks obviously like a slice of bacon. Well, presumably the red in there is from the iron in the water. And then we've got the calcite, so the red and white striping.
Yeah.
And then we've got some nice formations happening there with the straws and some of the stalactites coming down. And then we've got some more curtaining forming over there behind us. And then very sparkly cascaded. Oh, look at the calcite sparkling in there. Yeah, that looks really neat. With a lot more, oh, there's even some curtaining down the bottom in that rift. So this is a really nice chamber in Shatter Cave.
Yeah, there was a boulder. There was a long boulder in one of the caves. Those of you discovered that they call walk the plank because it was a long, thin.
Yeah, well, that one's a
boulder.
sort of small version of it.
Yeah, right.
Now we're in the twinkly bit, as Peter calls it. This is a very pretty section of Shatter Cave. There's a nice big curtain up there with some of the red iron in it. And then there's some formations back here.
There's a famous formation in here called the, well, I say famous, it's called the sword and scimitar. I'll show it to you in a minute.
Okay.
The shape of it.
That's the sword
To
and
the
scimitar right
of
up there,
pillar.
yeah.
Yeah, you can see the scimitar
Yeah.
shape.
Brilliant. Cracking on. So this is called Pisa Passage for obvious reasons.
Pisa Passage.
Our Leaning Tower of Pisa there. And then we've got lots of, oh, good, nice bright light here. Lots of interesting formations in this boulder tumble up into that, where the boulders had all come down.
I've been up there once, very many years ago.
Now we reckon this is the old stream passage. We can see the archway formed by the water.
You can see that, well, this is formed by stream action. These are scallops formed by water flow. And then in the roof, when you come around the corner, you'll see a lovely half tube in the roof going off down and round the corner.
Okay, well,
Bisected by this incredible pillar. This is a typical keyhole passage with a phreatic half tube in the roof, but as you come down, it's vadose at the bottom, in other words, that's been cut by running water. And further on you can see where the walls are well scalloped by the flow. But it's very old, it's what we call a relic passage. In other words, no water ever flows through here now. And probably hasn't for many tens of thousands of years.
So this is called the Angel's Wing.
Yeah, a really lovely piece of stalactite
That's
curtain.
extremely white because nobody goes in there.
Nobody's gone in there. I think one person might have gone in there once, possibly, but that's why it's so clean and white. It's never been touched, never been
Messed about
with, got near.
That's brilliant.
And also it seems to be made of almost pure calcite. There's no mineral staining in it whatsoever.
Yeah. So I've crawled in here to something called Pillar Chamber. As you can see, that crystally pillar and the really neat crystal floor. More calcite formations. It took a bit of a crawl to get in here. Through there where Peter is.
Button and you advance.
Right.
This is the ring road and this is Tara coming through.
Squashed on my bits. Okay, sweet, whoosh. If I just slither like a snake.
Yep, you get any closer and you're going to run into the camera, so I'm going to stop.
Alright, so we just came crawling through that, what is that called, the Z squeeze?
Yeah, Z squeeze.
Yeah, because we got like all going over those knobbly bits, and then we had to crawl under this bit of stout and come down from up there and over this knob,
yeah,
and then into here. And there's Peter, who nearly got stuck.
yeah. I like that sort of boulder. I don't know whether it's a boulder jammed across it or whether it's just passage, but it's pretty. And there's lots of lovely straws there as well.
Yes, this is very nice.
Nice.
After that Z squeeze.
Yeah, nice little corner this is.